Could you tell me a bit more about the beer? What's it about, where it's brewed, and how does it kind of taste like?
Yeah, this beer is brewed by Brewdog. They're a Scottish company based in the UK, quite a controversial brewer, and they make craft beer, which is small produced beer. It's not mass produced. What does it taste like? I don't know, because obviously I'm not allowed to sell this in Estonia yet. I got this beer from a friend of mine who brought it over from Finland. It's being sold in Finland, and it's actually being sold in 45 other countries across the world. And as we speak, Estonia is the only one that's not selling it at the moment.
So, have the authorities explained to you why is it banned right now?
Yep. It's the alcohol register which have a problem. When I bring beer into the country, I have to get it registered before I can sell it. And it has to tick a few boxes. What does the label look like? What's the alcohol content? Does it have the word beer, etc., written on the label? And on the label here is the word "not for gays." And the alcohol register have said that this beer is not a commercially viable product. In other words, what they mean is that I'm excluding some people when I'm selling this beer, in this case, gays. Now, obviously, this statement, "not for gays," is very tongue-in-cheek. And in fact, on the back of the bottle, it says here, "Warning, may contain traces of sarcasm and protest." And that's all it is. It's just a tongue-in-cheek message and a little bit of a shot at Vladimir Putin, who made a statement about homosexuals in the run-up to the Sochi Olympics. I haven't given up hope. If I manage to get the alcohol register on board and they say yes, then the next people I've got to speak to are the consumer board. And also they need to decide, is it not just a commercially viable product, but is it suitable for the Estonian market? I'm worried that they're going to have a problem with the "not for gays." They'll also have a problem with the picture on there, I think. And apparently they have a problem with the signature on the back of the bottle, which is signed Vlad. I'm not allowed to use an unauthorized signature. And again, it's quite obvious to me that this is not really Vladimir Putin's signature. So those are the barriers that I'm hoping to get over. If I don't, then of course I'm going to have to speak to somebody else who's in a position to understand legislation in Estonia. And of course I think that they'll be able to use the argument that it is, as I mentioned, available in 45 other countries across the world, including Latvia, Lithuania, and quite ironically, Ukraine.
Do you think that maybe it's kind of being afraid of Russia is what is keeping us from selling the beer?
Possibly, yeah. Of course, I can understand the Estonian viewpoint, because you share a border with Russia, and it's not a country that you want to really antagonize. And it's not just Estonians who live here in Estonia, there's Russians too. But, I've spoken to Russian friends and colleagues, and they're already waiting for this beer. They want to know, when's it available, can they buy some? Because they see the funny side too. I could understand that some people who maybe don't understand Brewdog's whole, the way they work. Brewdog are very controversial. They always try and stir up a message. One of their biggest selling beers is called Punk IPA. And the whole reason it's called Punk is because they try and reflect how the punks were in the 70s and 80s, the anarchy and going against mainstream. And that's what they are all about. Their beers are not mainstream, and they want people to know that. And they want to bring that to people's attention, because not everybody drinks this type of beer. So they want to try and make a big impact as possible. And I think that's maybe what the authorities over here are worried about, that it's not just going to be a small group of niche drinkers who are drinking this. When I put it up on Facebook that I was hoping to get this beer, within half an hour I had 100 likes and messages from everybody saying, not just beer drinkers, but everybody saying, we love this marketing, we want to get a bottle, when's it going to be available? So I do think that if we do manage to get this beer here, then it will have a much bigger appeal than normal beers, which I bring over, do.
I would think that most of the Estonian young people would be crazy about that beer.
Yeah, I think, the branding's pretty cool. And I think that that people are going to buy it. You've got two types of people. The first type of people are going to buy it because it is a very good beer. It's it's not a regular beer. It's 8.2% alcohol. So generally, a beer like this is not everyone's, as we say in English, cup of tea. But I think people are going to buy it because of the imagery, the message it conveys, the fact that it's quite amusing, the fact that it's got a funny story on the back. And I think you'll get people possibly buying two, one to drink now and one to keep as a bit of a memento. But as I said, this is an unopened bottle. I haven't drunk it yet because, unfortunately, it could end up being a collector's item. It's sold out in Finland now, where I got it from, and I think it's sold out all across the world. The only place where there are stocks of this beer are in Estonia, in my warehouse, but that's no good for anybody.
When eventually you have the chance to sell the beer in Estonia, how much would one bottle cost?
People keep saying to me, oh, you can make a lot of money from this beer, James, because, supply and demand. But of course, I don't want that to happen. I want as many people to be able to buy this beer as possible. The beers which I import are not cheap. As I mentioned, Brewdog are a small brewery. They only produce things on a small scale, so their prices are pretty high anyway. Their regular beers retail around about €4 a bottle. This one, because it was produced in even smaller scales, is a little bit more expensive. So I think the price would be something around about €6 to €8. In Finland, it's going around about €10 a bottle. So it's a little bit higher than normal, but you've got to remember that it's a strong beer. It's an 8.2% beer. So generally those are more expensive anyway. Plus the fact is that, as I said, it's a limited edition. So I think people will be willing to pay for that. I'm certainly not, taking advantage of this situation and trying to make as much money as possible out of it. That's not what it's all about. But the good thing about this beer is that 50% of all the profits from this beer worldwide go to supporting oppressed, here on the back of the bottle, it goes to support oppressed minorities around the world. So they're actually giving something back. I could understand people being annoyed about this beer if it was just plain marketing, and that they were just taking a shot at Putin. But the fact is that they are taking a shot at Putin, but they are actually trying to do something about it.